Hey everyone, Jasio here, and today we are going to do an experiment that involves a special technique called chromatography. Now, chromatography comes from the Greek words for color and writing, so color writing. Now, when you think of a chemist, you probably think of some guy in a lab coat like this, mixing a bunch of things together. Well, that's part of the job, but they also have to be able to separate things, not just mix them together. So there are mixtures and there are solutions. Mixtures are things that you mix together that can be separated by some sort of physical means. A solution, not so much. Those are harder to separate. Those are some sort of chemical thing happened that they're not easily separated. You probably drank an example of a mixture today. So if you had something like orange juice or something, there's pulp and then there's the water and everything. So I'm going to talk about a couple of ways that chemists are able to separate mixtures and break them down to their individual components. So you could filter which filters out particle sizes of different sizes. You can use a centrifuge machine that separates liquids by their density. You could use distillation where you boil away material. But today we're doing chromatography that is able to separate materials by two major properties. One is adsorption, which is the tendency for that material or compound to stick or adhere to a different surface, and solubility, which is how well that compound dissolves in a solvent. So when you have a solution, there's a solvent, and then you have a solute, which is dissolving in the solvent. So today our solvent is going to be salt water, so I'm just going to pour some water into this glass here, and then I'll add just a bit of salt. You only need a little bit of water, maybe a little bit more. And then I'm going to throw in some salt. I'm going to just swish it around a little bit so the salt dissolves. You want the salt to be fully dissolved before you start. Now there's two ways you could do this. Well, first off, you need something. Well, I'll explain this. In chromatography, you need a mobile phase and a stationary phase. So the mobile phase is some sort of solvent that is going to travel past the stationary phase. So here my stationary phase is going to be this toilet paper sheet. You could use paper towels or coffee filters. I'm going to use toilet paper since it's the quickest so far. So this is going to be my stationary phase. I'm going to put some dyes on it. I'm going to have 3 different colors. I'm going to put blue, red, and yellow. And this is my stationary phase. So then the mobile phase, which is my salt water here, is going to travel up this toilet paper roll via capillary forces. Since paper is made of cellulose fibers, really tiny fibers in here that act like little tubes that the water travels up. So I'm going to dip this in here. I'm going to have my 3 dyes. The water is going to travel up and it's going to take with it the different colored dyes, and we're going to watch over some time which colors travel the furthest. So I'm just going to use food coloring, but if you want to take this a step further, you could take the dyes from a candy like Skittles or M&Ms. And this way you can confidently show to your friends that it's not just the color that's different, there are different compounds in those colors. If you want to do that, all you would need to do is soak your M&Ms individually by color in some salt water, and then the dye will sort of fall off of them, and then you can use that. There we go, my the salt has dissolved. I'm going to get my toilet paper. What I'm going to do is once I put the dyes, I'm going to dip it inside, and that's why I taped it to this popsicle stick so it would sit on top. So now I'm going to add my dyes. Let's do you only need a drop. Ooh, okay. So that was a very big dot. That is far too big for this experiment. So I'm gonna get another sheet of toilet paper. First, I'm gonna practice on this one. Wow, okay, so these are really big dots. I'm going to go get a dropper. Alright, I'm back. This time I'm going to use some broken toothpicks to make my little dots of color. Now it's very important to know, you don't want to put the droplets too far down because we don't want them to be submerged in the water when we dip it into the water. We want them to be just above so that the water hits the toilet paper, travels up via capillary action, reaches the dye, and carries the dye with it as the dye is soluble in the water. We don't want it to be too far or else it's going to just mix directly with the water. These are all examples of how not to do it because I forgot each time. So, what is this? 4th time's the charm. I'm going to do some yellow with this broken toothpick to get a nice sized drop. I'm going to put it above. There we go. Off to a good start. Let's do some red. Okay. Now some blue. There we go. Perfect. So you want them just above the bottom. Cool? Now, I'm going to put this on top, dip it into my water, and we will see what happens. I'm going to put it in here, and then I will show you guys what happened, and I'll do a time lapse so we can see it traveling up. So you can see right here, it's just touching the water, and the dyes are already starting to move up as the water moves up. This is what it looks like after about just a couple minutes, been like 2 minutes. You can see the blue dye has already reached the very top of the toilet paper piece of the popsicle stick. Yellow and red are pretty close. From here it looks like yellow went just a bit farther. So that means blue was able to travel the farthest. Maybe it has the smallest molecular weight, meaning that the molecules themselves are smaller than the rest and are able to travel up further, or because they are able to dissolve in water better and become closer to water. And here are some small drawings I put together of blue and yellow molecules. These are standard dyes that come with M&Ms. So these are not the same dyes I use in the food coloring, but this is kind of what it looks like when you're eating M&Ms. So maybe your friends say one M&M color tastes better than another. Well, you know, maybe there's some truth to that since they are made of different compounds.